Hey guys, today it is time to talk about the history of Prime. And this company, in the trucker world anyway, is kind of controversial. Some people don't like their business model, other people do. Obviously a lot of people do, because there's a lot of their trucks on the road. So I'm waiting to do this. I'm on the road right now, so I can't actually show you the truck that I'm going to put on the shelf, but I already own it. In fact, I took it off the shelf until I did a story, and it was in last week's video. It's a green FLD Prime truck, and excited to get that on the shelf. And it was pretty interesting in doing this story. The motto, the lease purchase motto, the lease motto, it kind of comes together when it became, you know, basically when they invented it or when they got into it. Very interesting story, and it all makes sense, and it has to do with deregulation also. So many of these stories have to do with deregulation, but we'll talk about the company. It started in 1970 with one dump truck, Prime Inc. All right, guys, so this is a company. Prime has, you know, a lot of people know about their lease program, their lease purchase programs. They do hire employees also. We will talk about the history and how it came to be. And it was founded in 1970 by Robert E. Lowe. Wait, Rob Lowe owns a trucking company? No, this is a whole different guy. But, and he is still to this day the top executive. It is a privately owned company. However, I don't know if he's starting to, you know, step down or slowly move down, because it did say that Darryl Hopkins was promoted to president in January 2024. But it's not, the ownership structure isn't publicly disclosed, because it is a privately held company, and it's not publicly traded. But he has consistently been referred to as the owner and founder throughout the company's history. There are some videos, some interviews with him and things like that. There's some stories. So he founded it in 1970 in Urbana, I guess it is, or Urbana, U-R-B-A-N-A, Missouri. He was 19 years old, and he was an engineering student at the University of Missouri. His first rig was a previously owned dump truck, and he started his career hauling goods for contacts in the meat business. I don't know what you haul in a dump truck in the meat business. Let me know down in the comments. I'm not sure. I've never been in the dump truck business, and I don't know a whole lot about it other than like maybe asphalt and stone. Even then, I've never done that. But the company did have some problems. In 1979, his company was making millions of dollars in profits. But in 1980, the company faced severe financial hardships, leading to a filing in bankruptcy court. Lowe attributes his borrowing heavily during an inflationary period when interest rates were surged. And he admits being pretty arrogant and losing focus on the things that were truly important. That's a stand-up guy right there. I'm sorry, when you have somebody who admits, you know, what he did wrong, and, you know, probably lots to blame on other people, but it's all about, you know, what you did. So the company was actually saved after a serious struggle for survival. And his mother actually took a loan out against her house and contributed $50,000 to the company. So here's where Prime kind of took a different direction at deregulation. You know, through following the bankruptcy, Lowe learned a key lesson that independent contractors work more productively when their profitability is directly contingent on how well they manage their equipment. I did read that directly from a computer screen here. That was, you know, usually I change things, put it in my own word. I said, well, that's how that is. This led to innovative independent contractor leasing and education programs, which were Prime's recovery and subsequent growth. Under Lowe's leadership, Prime's annual revenues increased every year since 1986. The company is now recognized as an international leader in transportation, operating a fleet in excess of 7,700 trucks and 13,800 trailers. I will tell you, I'm sitting here, I'm actually sitting at a Petro at an undisclosed location. I'm just kidding, I'm in New Paris, Ohio. But I have seen 2 or 3 prime trucks fuel up. There's one over there in the parking lot. There's another one over there. It's pulling a, looks like a hopper bottom. So, you know, big company there. By the way, guys, I'm using natural light and I'm slowly losing it here. So I'm probably going to have to switch on, in case you're wondering why the lights changed. I'm probably going to have to switch on a couple lights so that you guys can see me okay. So let me, yeah, do a little bit of lighting and we'll get back to this story. All right, guys, now I got the light on. It really doesn't matter what happens outside. I still can't get used to this whole getting dark at 4:30, 5 o'clock. But anyway, Prime went through a couple lawsuits, and one I found pretty interesting, and it was basically sexual harassment and sexual discrimination in their hiring practices of female drivers. Now, I don't get this, because there was a problem originally, they fixed it, and then they got sued for fixing it. So I guess both separately have their own thing, but I mean, they paid out millions of dollars in you know, in settlements for this, and I don't know, you know, how much I totally agree with it. So let me explain here. In the early 2000s to the mid 2000s, they hired trainees, you know, send them through the school, and then they put them with a trainer. Well, there was a lot of sexual harassment of female drivers being placed with male drivers. Unfortunately, that's inevitable. Yeah, and it does say, you know, they would use things like the close confines of a truck to, you know, lewd acts. It was all kinds of stuff listed there, and it's really a shame, you know, it is a shame that you can't train somebody, you know, as a trainee and respect them as a truck driver. And look, there's a Prime truck pulling out. It's a blue Cascadia pulling a reefer. Anyway, so there was this sexual harassment. So they settled this, and then they put a program into place. It's a pretty logical program that female drivers can only be with female drivers. Female trainees can only be with female drivers. So the problem there was there's not a lot of female drivers, and I don't know that everybody at Prime is a trainer or not. You know, I have no desire to be a trainer, you know, and I can't imagine, you know, that everybody does want to be a trainer. So what would happen is people would actually, women would apply to the company, and it would be sometimes up to, they said, as long as 18 months until they would get hired on so that they could be with a female driver. Now, this is, of course, the trainee program, you know. So they were actually sued by the EEOC and some women who didn't like that they were put off so much, and it actually came to they weren't an equal opportunity employer because they were hiring men before women, but they were hiring men before women because they didn't have the women to train the women, you know, and to keep the women safe. There were some settlements there, amounts don't matter, and I don't know what their policy is now or how they handle it, but it's a shame because I feel like they fixed the problem, and maybe their fix didn't work out as good, but I don't know. To me, it seems, you know, like maybe they could have worked together and found a better way, you know, better way to handle it. Luckily, I have noticed over the last couple of years that women in trucking, there is just more and more of them, and, you know, I hope that continues to grow. You know, there's a lot of women getting into the industry and you know, seeing the advantages of it. I was actually getting some work done down in Dallas, Texas, and there was a woman in there getting some work done also, and we got talking a little bit, and she loves truck driving, and she stays pretty regional to the Dallas, Texas area, which isn't too hard to do. In fact, she was heading after that to go pick up a load in Waco. So you know, we are seeing more women get into trucking, and hopefully problems like this won't happen in the future. All right, so there was also some other lawsuits that I have on here involving contractor lawsuits, as far as misclassifying whether you're a contractor or an employee based on, different things. In certain cases, in orientation, the drivers weren't paid minimum wage. It didn't include minimum wage, and there was some things under the Fair Labor Acts, Fair Labor Standard Acts, and the state law in Missouri. I'm not going to go into all that. It happens actually with a lot of companies when they have different, owner-operator classes, independent, employee. It happens a lot. I will say this, my first truck that I ever bought was as a lease purchase, and it was a little bit different than this. They're selling brand new trucks or slightly used trucks. I actually worked for a company that allowed me to buy a truck that was about to be traded in as a a lease purchase. And it wasn't easy. I looked over Prime's website to see what they offer, what they have a just lease program, which I could see the upside of that. Guys want a new truck every couple years. They just want to lease it, and they have a walk away. You can actually walk away from the truck. They also have a lease purchase that involves some money down. But there's some other things involved in that. If you've been a leasee for so long, or you've been with them for so long, there's perks. And guys will talk about the high truck payments. Well, they're always high truck payments. They'll also say, well, Prime just sells these trucks over and over and over again and never has to, never makes a payment. Well, okay, but you signed the contract. So if you sign a contract, as long as that contract is honored, then you agreed to this program. And I understand it doesn't work for some people. That is every business. Some people say to me, hey, why should I lease on Landstar? I say, well, maybe you shouldn't. And then I go into a couple things, maybe, look into this company, maybe even look into some local companies, because not everything fits everybody. But I was really trying to find something in what they said, or find something predatory in how they were attracting drivers to their company on their website. And I was actually shocked by how in-depth their website was. It goes into every little thing, before you even sign up. And I'm sure there will be more after that. So, as whether you do or don't like Prime's business model, to me, you sign a contract. There's lots of different choices out there. There's lots of company jobs. There's lots of different lease purchases. There's options of Lone Mountain or somewhere else. Most people would say save the money and buy the truck cash, and that's great. Of course, that's always an option. But yeah, I can't find anything to say bad about Prime. As far as the way they present themselves. So guys, let me tell you about some of the accomplishments of Robert Lowe. And I think it's pretty cool here, some of the things he's done over the years. From 2012 to 2013, he was chairman of the Truckload Carriers Association. Not too familiar with them, but in 2002, he was recognized as Refrigerated Carrier CEO of the Year by Transport Topics. He received a prestigious award, Missourian Award, in 2000. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm not too familiar with the award, but man, I know a lot of great people from Missouri. In fact, up here, I will put the story of Campbell 66. Humping the please. Anyway, he won Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012. In the Central Midwest, it was given by Ernst & Young. He received a 2013 Truck Fleet Innovator Award, in part for his innovative independent contractor and education programs. So another thing that I know about Prime is that Robert Lowe is real big. Well, I knew that Prime, and apparently he is big on this, a driver wellness focus. And I'll read this direct from here. It says, Lowe has emphasized the health and wellness of professional truck drivers, which was focused during his tenure as TCA chairman. Prime's headquarters include driver amenities like fitness facility, spa, salon, and physician's office. I did know that there's some guys that work for Prime that really do this, how to work out on the road, do some videos about that and stuff. And I did know that they were that was a big thing. Overall, you know, I say Robert Lowe is a pretty good guy in this industry, and when you actually look back to during deregulation, you see the companies that tried to survive through it. And remember, deregulation really, you know, the fight, the 70s, the strikes, was basically union against independent. And he kind of chose the independent way and was innovative in it. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you like their program or not, he was innovative in helping drivers become independent contractors. And yeah, I'll stand by that. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have experience with Prime. You know, don't say, hey, I heard while sitting at a truck stop counter with the Prime driver. You know, I want to hear, you know, true experiences, you know, good and bad, in the comments. I love them. Now, I will say this. People have accused me of deleting comments before. And I got to let you know, when you're posting a comment, when you're, you know, even if you're mad about something, watch your language in there and watch different words you use, because YouTube will automatically boot things or send them to held for review. And it's just easier if we just keep away from that, you know. I read all the comments. I love them, you know, but, you know, I want to hear about it out there. Just watch some of the things you say, because otherwise it'll flag something, and then I don't even get to see the comments, and I'd like to know what people think. All right, guys, well, hey, thanks for watching this video. I'm also going to put up here, I'm going to put a playlist. This is the playlist of all the trucking history videos I've done, because a lot of people have asked for trucking history videos of companies that I've already done a couple years ago and stuff. So you can check in that playlist and you know, see you know, what companies you missed. And it's been great, but there are still thousands, I mean, probably hundreds of thousands of companies out there to do. What am I doing next week? I don't know. I usually tell you guys ahead of time. I just don't know yet. I haven't decided. It'll be a surprise for next week. But I am starting another, this is Trucking History Sunday, about trucking companies. I am going to start a Truck History Tuesday, where I just talk about specific models of trucks, specific models over the years. And that actually is getting voted on each weekend by on Facebook under Trucking Resources name. I just say, hey, this week coming up, who do we want to, what kind of truck do we want to see? So I know that this Sunday is going to be the FLC 120 Freightliner. Our friend and longtime subscriber Kurt Fenslaw voted for that, and yeah, he won it. So that's what we're doing this Tuesday. As for next Sunday, and I'll think of something good. There's so many great trucking companies out here. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. As always, you know, like, subscribe if you haven't already. Comment. I do read all the comments. Like I say, just watch what you comment, because some things get booted before I ever see them, and I want to see them. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Substack under the Trucking Resources name. I do something a little bit different on all of them. And also look below for some codes that I have from Truck Parking Club. You can get $20 off Truck Parking Club by using the code resources20. And you can also, at 4 states where I get virtually all my, you know, parts, chrome products, lights, everything like that, you can get 10% off your order, anything that's not already on sale, by using the code TruckingR10. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next one.